Good morning, and welcome to today's podcast. Oh, I got a bit of a late start this morning, but it'll all be fine. Oh, well, you know, whoops. I was thinking about how I'm kind of using this. I am putting this podcast out there and publishing it so just anyone can listen, but I do think that I'm mainly using it for recording myself for more like a daily diary, I guess, is a good way of putting it. Kind of just getting my thoughts out there, but also keeping the log somewhat. And I was just thinking how, there's a lot of times where it'd be good to have that kind of log of what was going on when, just be able to look back and kind of remember what a certain time was like. And when people try and predict the future, it's always like crazy predictions and all, but it's kind of weird to think about times in the past and just how different it was back then, just for any number of reasons. But just thinking about 100 years ago, which is not really even that long. That's a long life, but a single life. Somebody who was born 100 years ago is probably not gonna live till now, but most of them won't. But there are quite a few who are still hanging on. And it's weird that just thinking about it, because 100 years ago, the town I live in didn't have electricity, and I mean, I don't know if the town I live in had it for sure or not, but I'm pretty sure they didn't, because it wasn't that common of a thing yet. But yeah, 100 years ago, people probably didn't have cars out here. And now I drive a car for 12 minutes to get several miles down the road. And just like things have changed so much. It's real weird to think about more specifically, but I was kind of where I was going with this originally was I was thinking, what would be different that would be interesting to remember in another 50 years, looking back at this, listening to this podcast when I'm getting close to 80. What would it be interesting to look back and remember and think about? And I think one of those things is like, I'm driving a gas powered car for nearly an hour every day to and from work. And I don't know how that's gonna be in the future because, like, it's hard to imagine that changing. It's hard to imagine either everybody working from home every single day or some other form of transportation or anything like that. It's hard to imagine because, we don't have anything like that now. So I don't even know. Everyone's always predicting flying cars, and I don't really think that will be a particularly normal thing because, you know, flying takes so much more energy than driving. And, driving a car, like, it takes a lot of energy, but not as much as flying a helicopter. But that's the thing, that's all we got right now. And people do have, like, I've seen people experimenting online with personal flying vehicles of some sort. And there's a few different people. Like, I know there's a guy who has a quad bike flying thing. So, like, he's got a bike, but where it would have, like, a motorcycle essentially, but where it would have the wheels, he's got kind of split out, and there's two uh, propellers or rotors. I don't know what they're called uh, in flying vehicles, but pretty much, yeah. So he's got four of them, two in front, two in back, and looks pretty cool. I've seen some of his stuff online. But even though it looks cool and all, it's like, I don't know how plausible that is for everyday travel for the average person. Because, I mean, we struggled to even afford my wife's car. Like, we saved up a long time and then traded in her old one and still had to get a loan. But yeah, it's weird that there's just so many things like that where I'm sure if I was alive 100 years ago, I would have said the exact same thing about cars. Just like, where are they going? Only the rich people have them. They're no good on trails. So who knows? Maybe there's some useful things coming out of that kind of flying car idea eventually. It's just definitely not right now. But yeah, and then, like, right now we have cell phones, which is what I'm recording this on, and just how I kind of keep track of everything. But what's a cell phone gonna look like in the next 50 years, let alone the next 100? I mean, it's only been 20 years since the smartphone. And, well, I don't even think it's been 20 years since the smartphone, and already it's just crazy how far they've come. And, I mean, I have one that folds up and slides into your pocket. So oh, it's certainly interesting to kind of see where all that has gone, but it's weird to think that smartphones may not even be the useful tool they are now anymore in the future. They might be replaced by some even more innovative that I've not thought of. But that's all the time we have for this episode, or this part of it. So I'll continue this later. Hello, and welcome back to part 2 of today's episode. Oh, I am tired. I got plenty of sleep last night, so I'm not sure why, but just had a bit of a tiring morning, I guess. Oh, but yeah, it's weird how on some days it feels like you just kind of wake up and you're feeling energetic and ready to go, regardless of how much sleep you got, and other days you just wake up feeling super groggy and out of it, no matter how much sleep you got. Which I think, I'm not sure, but I think it's something to do with like sleep cycles, and if you get up at the right time in your sleep cycle, it makes you feel good, and if you get up at the wrong time, your body's still trying to wake up or something. But oh, yeah, I guess I just got up in the middle of a sleep cycle, but I did wake up really needing to use the bathroom this morning, so that might be it. But person just pulled out in front of me and slammed on their brakes. I really do not like when people just aren't paying attention when driving. Oh, yeah. I don't really remember what I was talking about earlier, and right now I'm just having a hard time thinking of much to say. I guess I'm just kind of tired. Not really out of it, but just not feeling fully into it today either. I'm just kind of oh yeah. Hopefully I start feeling a little more awake in a bit. But I probably just need food. I didn't get a good breakfast in this morning, so that's probably why I feel so tired. Probably more hungry. But I'm gonna try and think of something later for a topic, or at least hopefully have a little more energy. Oh, because I don't like just kind of groaning and moaning the whole time, being too tired. Oh, do, 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 do. I guess this is one of those times when I just don't really know what to say, so maybe I should just sing something. Problem is, I can't think of anything to sing. Oh. I really am just blanking completely on everything. And there's a bunch of bad traffic backup, and I know I sing the same songs over and over, but I think it's just because they're my favorite, so I might just go with those. Oh Lord, I need a mountain to climb on, just a quiet place to go and know you're there. Oh Lord, I need to spend some time with you. Jesus spent the night with you in prayer. And the greatest friend you'll ever find is on a lonely mountain top. The highest high you'll ever reach is when you kneel to pray to God. And the brightest light you'll ever see is when you close your eyes real tight. Oh Lord, you are my first love, at last I realize. Oh Lord, I need a mountain to climb on, just a quiet place to go and know you're there. Oh Lord, I need to spend some time with you. Jesus spent the night with you in prayer. And the greatest friend you'll ever find is on a lonely mountain top. The highest high you'll ever reach is when you kneel to pray to God. And the brightest light you'll ever see is when you close your eyes real tight. Oh Lord, you are my first love, at last I realize. There's a song I really like, but it's a little slower, but I might sing that one. It's a really emotional one. Break my heart, oh Lord, my. Oh, no, that's not how it goes. Oh, how does that go? Break my heart, oh Lord, my God. Tear the barriers down. Show me you, convicting tears, the glories of your crown. My heart is hard, my soul so weak. The ways of evil cut so deep. I need you, Lord, to come inside and gently break my heart. My heart is hard. My soul so no. Oh man, I can't remember that one. I just can't remember the verse right now. Maybe I'll sing it later more. But I'm mad I can't remember that one right now because it's one of my favorite songs. But I'm having a hard time remembering it. It's weird how sometimes you remember songs so good and other times just can't when you're feeling kind of tired, especially. At least for me, when I feel tired, I have a hard time remembering songs. Ho, ho, ho. But maybe I'll feel better after lunch. Oh, I'm trying to think just anything else to say, but I don't really feel like, there is much else to say. So might cut it short there and just kind of clip this part off at the end. So I'll continue this in a little bit. Okay, I just finished eating lunch and I feel so much better. I really do need to start remembering that I get tired when I'm hungry and letting myself eat enough. There's just, it's one of those things where everyone kind of is eating, trying to not eat so much, but I forget that everyone's metabolism is different. And so I've always needed a little more food, but especially just I have a high metabolism. And so I really do need to eat more than the minimum amount a lot of times. And I don't really gain a lot of weight by eating more. I just feel more energetic, which I guess normally if you overeat, you don't feel more energetic. You actually feel less energetic. So that's probably reassurance that I'm not overeating. It's just when you eat food, just so many people are super, super sensitive about like how much they eat and what they eat. And so when you just kind of need to eat a little more and aren't really as measured about what you do eat, it kind of feels like, oh, am I being unhealthy? And I think it's really just you need to be sure that you're eating a well balanced diet and not overdoing it. But some people's overdoing it is some people's bare minimum. So it's just hard to not be self conscious about things when everybody around you is doing one thing and you do it differently. I think that's one of the hard parts of being an adult is kind of forcing yourself to break out of those traps of, oh, everybody's doing it this way, so I need to as well. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, you don't have to do what everyone else is doing. So, but anyway, now that I have more energy and was able to sit down for a little bit, I remembered the rest of the song, and I actually have a part of it I want to talk about. So, but I'm going to go ahead and sing that, and then I'll talk about what I wanted to. Break my heart, dear Lord. Tear the barriers down. Show me in convicting tears the glories of your crown. My heart is hard, my soul so weak. The ways of evil cut so deep. I need you, Lord, to come inside and gently break my heart. My sin is great, and I can't see the glory set for me. Show me, Father, where to start, and gently break my heart. My heart is hard, my soul so weak. The ways of evil cut so deep. I need you, Lord, to come inside and gently break my heart. Got a little gunk in my throat there, but I think that was pretty good. But yeah, I really love that song. It's just one of those for me that really kind of gets the point across that you can't just hide your emotions and just go along with everything that is going on in your life. You don't just become a Christian and stop what you're doing and just begin again. Well, that's exactly what you do, but it's not like you just kind of keep on going and it's an effortless transition. Like, there's real changes that you make in your life, and there's things you really got to take a look at. And your heart gets hard because of the world, because the world's a rough place, and it's easy to just harden your heart and kind of shrug it off and kind of never let anything affect you and brush off your emotions or bottle them up and kind of get stuck in that pattern. But really, when you really give yourself over to God, it breaks your heart and it just tears you up because you know everything that you've done. But God forgave you, and that doesn't make you forget. That just makes it all the more emotional because you know that you don't deserve it, but God still forgave you. But the main part in that song that I was thinking about earlier is every time that I sing that song, there's one word that people kind of go one way or another on. And I've heard a ton of people sing it both ways. And it's when you say, and my sin is great, and I can see or I can't see the glory set for me. Show me, Father, where to start and gently break my heart. That's the can versus the can't there is a big change. And I think both are correct. Because I've felt the can't a lot more than I felt the can there. Because it's hard for me a lot of times to see the plans set out. And even though the Bible tells us where we're ending up, that this all ends with dying on this world, and if you're following God, going to heaven. But that's one of those things that I always just struggle with, is seeing that future path and trusting fully that God has a plan on this earth and off of it. It's one of the things I've struggled with most, is just kind of letting go and trusting that He's in control and has that figured out. And so that's one of those things I usually sing I can't see, because I really don't feel like it's clear to me where I'm supposed to go. But I ask God to show, I can't see the path you've set for me. Show me where to start and break my heart. And that is what I usually pray in that song. That even though I can't see, let me trust you and bring me to where I need to be. Show me where I need to start and help me. But I think I'm starting to get into a place now where I'm feeling a little more of the can. Because I'm finally starting to, I think, have the faith to let myself say that I could see where God's taken me. Even if I don't know the exact path here on earth, I know where He's bringing me in the long run. And that's enough. And I think both of those are important to go to back and forth, because you're not always going to be able to see where you're going. But it's important to trust God, but it's also important to acknowledge that you're not in control. And so both of those, I think, are needed. But that's all the time we have for now. So I'll continue this later, maybe with a different subject, maybe not. We'll see. Welcome back. To the final part of today's episode. You know, the only real disadvantage to these microphones is that, well, I guess there's two. One is they are not as subtle. And I'm not exactly trying to hide that I have a podcast from people, but I just, I'm not particularly advertising it yet. But then The other disadvantage is it takes like an extra minute just walking out of the office to put it on if I don't think about it ahead of time and have to stop and put it on and plug it into my phone when I'm sitting down in the car, which ain't bad, but it's just a little inconvenient that it's not independently syncing. It requires an attachment that plugs into the phone, but that attachment is what does all the software work to drown out the background noise that I am sure anyone who listened to the first episodes, or first like 30-ish episodes, is very glad for, because I listened back to a couple of them and man, that's bad. Oh, yeah, a couple of them were just, you could barely even hear me over the sound of the road. But now with this one, you can barely hear the road. But I was thinking that, I was trying to figure out a kind of like topic or format of the podcast somewhat, and thinking about it more as like a diary. I was like, do I want to do like daily kind of updates, talk about what's going on, or do I want to just kind of do whatever? And I think I'm more for, just doing a little bit of whatever, because I'm not really too interested in detailing the very specific details of everyday life, but big things like travel and big moments in life, I think definitely worth mentioning. But just saying, I did the same thing for today that I have the past 2 weeks, that ain't too much interesting. But it feels like it'd be a little easier to have some sort of structure, but at the same time I would then be worried about abandoning that structure, just like I've kind of gotten used to just starting it in the car when I sit down to head to work, and so I'm even on days when I'm kind of tired, I'm just like, I might as well. And I've kind of gotten used to it also as a alternative to listening to music in the car. Something to kind of keep my mind occupied a little while I'm driving, but not too much. But it's one of those things where it's always kind of nice to get some schedule to anything, really. It's nice to have a bit of a schedule, but at the same time, a schedule kind of feels restrictive and feels like you kind of, when you schedule something, you push out opportunity for spontaneity in some way, which I know that's not always the case, and it doesn't have to be the case, but just kind of feels that way a lot of times. But I think I'm just going to keep going with kind of whatever I want to do. One of the problems is I can't really read off of it anything, so even if I did try and make like bullet points or reference some other material, I wouldn't be able to do that because I'm driving, and I make a point of putting my phone away when I start recording so that I don't move while I record. I move while I record. I don't move while I have my phone out, pretty much. And like earlier, I didn't really know what all to say during part 2, and I was kind of out of it a little, so I just ended it early, but I waited until I was at a stoplight and then pulled out my phone and hit stop. Because I'm trying to be safe about this. And I know it's not illegal to talk as long as you're not covering your ears. So it's legal and it's pretty much safe. I'm not really distracted at all because I'm not looking at anything. I'm only thinking, and I'm going to be thinking whether I'm talking or not, so that doesn't really change much. But I have thought, is it any different recording yourself versus listening to music or something? And I really don't think it is very different in terms of, safety on the road. But I guess that could be debatable by some people, or it might depend person to person how they interact with it. But I'm making a point of not pulling out my phone while driving, so I can't make a bullet point or reference any other form of media, and I can't really, even if I'm singing some songs, I can't really pull something up to check the lyrics or anything like that. So I'm going to have to remember all of them ahead of time if I want to sing anything specific. I have enjoyed singing a bit more. I think it's good to get it out in the car, especially where it's a little easier and helps you practice. I've sang a little bit more at home, which I want to do more of it, but there's just not always the chance. But I had a song picked out earlier that I wanted to sing and talk about a little, but I can't remember what it was. If I didn't have such short-term memory issues, this would be a lot easier, though, because I could look it up beforehand and maybe in the morning look up what I wanted to talk and sing and whatever, and then remember. But because I can't seem to remember anything for the life of me, I just have to kind of go with the flow. But excuse me. I think that does help, though, with the kind of one of the reasons I did want to do this was just, to get better at talking without having to pause as much and think about everything I say. And it really has gotten better and helped me just on phone conversations or in kind of everyday conversations and small talk where I would normally be a little more awkward and halting in my conversational skills. It's gotten to be a bit better. But I know that is something also that when you're having any kind of trouble speaking, they recommend you play it back to yourself and listen to it. And that is supposed to help a lot with kind of understanding where your faults are in talking and correcting them. But I do kind of feel like my accent may have gotten stronger again, just because I listen to myself so much now talking that I kind of feedback loop my accent a little, which I prefer that. I like my accent. I feel like in the area I'm from, it's not super unique, but it's definitely not the standard way of talking, and so nobody really judges me too hard for it, but people do notice that I don't try to be like everyone else, because I think a lot of people around here grew up with a more thick accent and then have kind of let it be developed out into a more generic American accent rather than letting it be a Texas or Southern, which mine's Texas, not Southern, but Southern is a lot more pronounced. But I think mine's definitely West Texas and a stronger one than your average, but still just West Texas, not anything too much. So anyways, that's all the time we have for now, so I will see y'all tomorrow.